Hello everyone, welcome to Model Walk Explained. Tonight's story is called Letters That Could Never Be Sent. Our model will portray Emily, an office lady returning to her late mother's old apartment in Yau Ma Tei. Emily pushed open the creaky wooden door. The place had sat empty for 2 years since her mother passed away, yet everything still felt frozen in the 1980s. The faded floral sofa, the dusty old television in the corner, and bamboo poles for laundry hanging across the narrow alley outside. A salty breeze from Victoria Harbour slipped through the window cracks. She sat at her mother's vanity table and opened the bottom drawer. It was packed with old envelopes, hairpins, and broken necklaces. She picked up a stack of letters addressed to Daniel in her own youthful handwriting from 20 years ago. She froze. She thought she had burned these long ago. Back in university, Daniel studied photography while she studied literature. They would sit on benches by the harbour until late at night. He photographed her side profile, and she wrote him letters she never dared to send. The pages were filled with a young girl's hidden feelings. I secretly tucked the photo you took today into my book. You said you wanted to see cherry blossoms in Japan. Let's go when we have the money. If one day you stop loving me, just tell me. I'll pretend I never loved you at all. She read every letter, her fingers turning cold. The last one was written in 1998, on paper that had already yellowed slightly. Daniel, I'm getting married tomorrow. He's a good man who can give me a stable life. What about you? Will you travel the world taking photos and forget me, just like you said? If you ever come back, remember to find me. I'll be waiting in the same apartment, like waiting for rain that never arrives. Tears fell onto the paper, blurring the ink. Emily had never sent any of the letters because she was terrified. Terrified he might reply, saying he no longer loved her. Terrified even more that he might not reply at all. Later, she got married, had a daughter, and lost her husband early. Life became still water. She assumed Daniel had moved abroad to Canada or Australia, chasing light and shadow as he once dreamed. She stepped onto the balcony. Lights were coming on in the opposite building, and distant ships glided across the harbour like broken threads. Suddenly, she remembered Daniel's old place was just at the end of this street. His window used to glow with warm yellow light. She went downstairs and walked to the building at the end of the lane. A for rent sign hung on the rusty gate. She asked the old lady at the nearby Cha Chan Teng, "The guy named Daniel who used to live here, is he still around?" The woman wiped her cup and sighed. He passed away 10 years ago. Cancer. It was quick. He lived alone, never married, no kids. In his final years, he would sit here smoking, staring at the harbour, saying he was waiting for someone. Emily felt her heart shatter. Did he leave anything behind? The woman shook her head. Everything was burned after he died. Only a box of photos remained, but the landlord threw them out as trash. Back home, Emily spread all the letters across the floor. She then opened her mother's old photo album and found a faded picture of her and Daniel by the harbour. He had his arm around her shoulder, and she was smiling brightly. On the back, in Daniel's handwriting, were the words, "Emily, if I'm ever gone one day, remember these letters. I wrote many too, but never sent them." She was stunned. He had been writing to her all along. He had been just as afraid. She carefully folded every letter and placed them inside an old biscuit tin, decorated with the cream cookies they once shared. She carried the tin to their favourite bench by Victoria Harbour. The paint was peeling now, and the iron railings were rusty. The night wind was strong. She held the tin on her lap and whispered softly, "Daniel, I came too late. How long did you wait for me?" No one answered, only the sound of waves lapping against the shore like quiet sighs. She opened the tin, took out the last letter, and read it aloud. "If one day you stop loving me, just tell me. I'll pretend I never loved you at all." The wind tousled her hair. She suddenly laughed through her tears. "You fool. I never stopped loving you. We were both just too scared to say it out loud." One by one, she tore the letters into pieces and let the wind carry them toward the harbour. Some landed on the water. Others were swept away into the night, like belated fireworks. She stood up and gazed at the distant city lights. Those lights felt like countless eyes watching over both of them. Time had kept them apart, but it had preserved their love in a pile of unsent letters hidden deep in a drawer, waiting for a reunion that would never come. Emily turned and walked away, slowly. She knew that from now on, this city would hold one more quiet secret. Two people who lived on the same street wrote letters to each other for half their lives and never sent a single one. The saddest thing about love is not that it ends, it's that it arrives too late, leaving you speaking only to the empty air. The story ends here. If you liked tonight's video, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and give us a like. See you in the next episode. Thank you.
told me that I'd find you, I think I would've lied, 'cause my heart is black and blue. You were different, spark my interest. I'm awake. Now I am different, got this feeling I can't shake. I find pieces of you in every song that I hear. Guess I thought this day would never come. You make me feel all the feels and forget all the fears. This is what it means to fall in love with a definition. Look it up, baby, there's a picture. If I would've told you that you'd find me, I think you would've laughed, 'cause you knew already. You were waiting for this day when we would meet. I was waiting for the day when I would see that you would find pieces of me in every song that you hear. Overwhelmed that the day has finally come. I make you feel all the feels and forget all the fears. This is what it means to fall in love with a definition. Look it up, baby, there's a picture. Oh, with a definition. This is it, all we want. Let's take our time and just fall, so that we can still be falling still for years to come. And we'll find pieces of us in every sunset and trust that every day we're together is enough. Still make me feel all the feels and take in all the years. Oh, this is what it means to stay in love. We'll be the definition. Oh, be the definition. We'll be the definition. Yeah, be the definition. Look it up, look it up, look at us. I'm losing my mind for the sake of love. I've been trying to reveal it, what I've been so afraid of. Your coldness makes my heart go weak, so numb that I can barely speak. This pain keeps water in the sea. If I weren't so desperate to be free, I'd keep my distance, babe. The more that I know about you, the more that I want you, baby. They say that good love will yield the best from me. I know it to be true. This moment won't last forever. No remedies whatsoever. These feelings we choose to pass on for lesser love. You know it to be true. I'm lost in